Good morning, everyone. This is Sudan Gyawaly. I am a research associate here helping Chalendra with his IPM program in Stanislaus County. And today I'm going to talk about the work that we have been doing for the last 3 or 4 years with regards to understand the biology and management of flatheaded borers in California walnuts. This is an old pest. This pest has been around for several years. However, this is a new issue because this problem in walnuts has been increasing, and we're talking about the flatheaded borer, which have a family of Joel beetles, and they're in the insect family called Buprestidae, and they have a common bullet-shaped adults, very metallic adults. Their size can be somewhere around 1.5 inch, and they have their larvae, which are characterized by having a very flattened thorax. They have a small reduced head, and because the thorax looks like it's taking over the head, and they get that name, flat-headed borer, and their size can be around 1/2 inch, pale yellowish color, and the larvae cause the damage by feeding on the inside the wood. And then the adults can do some feeding too, but they're like the leaves and twigs, but their damage caused by adults is very nominal as compared to the damage caused by adults. So which is a very damaging pest we have in the walnuts. At least 4 species of walnuts, flat-headed borer, have been reported. As you can see, there are 3 in the insect order Chrysobothrys. The last one, Chrysobothrys tennalis, is very rare. The 3 of them the first 3 of them are very common. However, the first one that I highlight here in the circle is a Chrysobothrys malai. It's a very common from our studies and other studies, and it's called Pacific flat-headed borer, which we have very common in our orchards. And the adults, all these adults, they are very hard to distinguish from each other. The larvae, they have typical flat-headed larvae, very hard to distinguish even the larval stage, of course. And then they cause damage, very similar damage altogether, very similar damage for all the species. The Pacific flat-headed borer, or the other flat borer species we have, they have an annual life cycle. So that means it takes about a year for them to complete from their larvae to become the adults. So adults are typically active in starting late spring to summer. They start flying from April to August, and then the adults, they like laying eggs in the stressed sunburned part of the trees. They can lay as many as 100 eggs in cracks and crevices of the walnut trees or any other trees. They have actually this Pacific flat-headed borer have several hosts. At least 70 have been reported, 70 host species have been reported. And those eggs, once they hatch, the larvae cannot survive outside the wood for a long time. So they immediately after hatching, they burrow the bark and go inside and start feeding on the cambium layer. And spend summer feeding on those woods or cambium layer. And before they start pupating in summer, and they finally emerge as adult in the summer. So it takes 1 year for them to complete their life cycle. So as I just mentioned, they have they are becoming more problem. They like the stressed trees and sunburn part of the trees. However, we have observed several symptoms when they feed on the trees. So first one is we may see this kind of brown sap oozing out of the damaged portion of the tree, damaged part of the tree, as you can see in the pictures here. Visual wounds is very common. We can see those kind of darkened spot with rough surface with like the flatheaded borer larva feeding inside. You can see the close-up picture on the right-hand side. So we have that visual wound. We see the visual wounds. And when we cut through or open those visual wounds, we have the feeding channel inside that is filled with frass. And those frass can sometimes be visible without opening the wound. So that's another symptom and a sign. So other those branches infested by flatheaded borer larvae they're weak and can break easily. So we see a lot of flag. We may see a lot of flagged or dead branches hanging on the top of the trees, as you can see in the right-hand side picture. When the larva appears inside the wood and pupates, they emerge as adult, and when they emerge out of those wood, they leave this kind of exit holes that are uppercase letter capital D-shaped holes. That those are the holes they come out of the wood. So we see those kind of D-shaped hole. That's another symptom that we commonly see. And in younger trees, we see the damage more, the similar damage pitting the darkened spot and those kind of damage mainly on the trunk. And this stage is in the literatures, it has been reported is the most suffers the less, because the younger trees, 1 year, 2 year, we see a lot of more damage, and we need to take those damage. So on the trunk. So so as of now, we do not have any monitoring tools for this insect. So scouting the trees with like these visible damage symptoms is very important, and that's how these are some of the symptoms that we see. So when we are looking for or checking for damage in our orchard caused by flatheaded borer, we need to check for these symptoms that I just mentioned. So we conducted a grower survey last year in one of the conferences, and we wanted to know what type of symptoms or flatheaded borer symptoms do you see, and well, a lot of growers didn't have any damage. I guess they didn't say they observed any type of the symptoms, but however, a lot of growers saw the damage as I just mentioned: brown color sap, visual wounds, as you can see represented here, and 35% of the growers actually had seen some of these damages, meaning they have the flatheaded borer problem. So we embarked on this project in 2018, where when Sailendra Rizal, who I worked for, was called upon, he was reported there was a serious flatheaded borer problem going on, and Sailendra visited several younger and older orchards. Here you can see on the left-hand side, Sailendra checking for the flatheaded borer damage on the younger trees, walnut trees. And we have younger trees, healthy orchard, all impacted. So kind of getting us worried about what's going on. And here we are in 2022, and we have the problem is still increasing. Just last week, we visited a couple of orchards in Tulare County, and you can see very serious damage. We saw very serious damage on the left-hand side. There was a farm, there was an orchard, about 100 acre, maybe more area, and the orchard had very serious damage. And as you can see, the grower has been trying to save those trees, and as you can see, the grower has done very severe, very intensive pruning in like hundreds of trees. We saw 100 of trees that are only left with, that have been left with only the stump, because the damage was on the branches was so much. And the other next to that orchard, another 72 acre orchard, a very severe damage, and grower decided the damage was so high, he decided to pull out the trees. So what is going on? That's very serious question. So it seems like a a lot of times we do not, because we know like this insect doesn't cut this much damage historically, and then now we have been seeing this kind of damage. So it seems like a lot of factors are playing a role. The drought in the past several years, and then the increasing acreage of the walnut orchard. We have been using some of the places or areas that are suboptimal for walnut production. There can be several reasons. However, another reason that I want to highlight is maybe a lot of problems we didn't see the problem when it started. Maybe the symptoms, damage symptoms, they went unnoticed, and the population of flat-headed borer built up to the extent that it cause the serious level of damage. So we need to keep an eye open, checking for the damage of this pest. So again, historically, this is a pest considered to damage the younger orchards, but we have been seeing a lot of damage in the older, healthy orchards too. So we conducted the survey and wanted to know what's the age of the orchard. The farmers or growers have been seeing the damage infestation. So it seems that a lot of damage in the older trees. In our survey, we found about 80% damage was on the older, say more than 7-year-old orchards. So as of now, we do not know much about the everything of this pest. We did not know how the damage is caused, like when it is caused, and when does the insect, when exactly does the adults are active, and we do not have monitoring tool and control tools. We do not have those. And the other other question we had was, what is causing these damages? And to answer some of these questions, or a lot of these questions, we have been working on a couple of projects initially funded by California Walnut Boards, and now we're a part of a multi-state where there are more than 10 states involved, USDA funded project. And we have been trying to explore answer a lot of questions that we did not have the answer for. So these are some of these, the objectives, mainly aiming to understand the biology and monitoring and the control measures. And we are part of in some of the objective of these projects. For example, we are part of species, what species are associated with walnuts, and then monitoring what monitoring tool to use to monitor their population, and developing control measures with mainly objective 1, 2, and 1, 3, and 5. And depending on our need, we can involve in other objectives too. So to answer one of the first questions, what species of flat-headed borer are associated with walnuts, and also when do they emerge? To understand their phenology better, we have been doing some, I would say, semi-field studies, because we collect those the infested walnut flat-headed borer infested branches from the field, as you can see us collecting them from the orchard, and we bring them and store them in this kind of plastic tub and check for their emergence. And our study from 2019 showed that all the beetles we got from those flat-headed borer infested woods were Pacific flat-headed borer. So this is even though I mentioned there are 4 different species, it seems like the species that we have, like common, is Pacific flat-headed borer. And then what about their phenology? When do they emerge? So we found, we checked the emergence in those plastic tubs. We were about to capture 152 adult flat-headed borer adults, and their emergence began somewhere in mid-May, and it's continued through June. So then in 70% of that 150 flat-headed borer emerged around mid-June, which is June, to be exact, is on June 2012. So in 2021, we wanted to continue the study. We did the semi-field study as reported, I just reported, and we also wanted to know how well we collect the woods from the field, and maybe that doesn't give us the exact their phenology pattern. So what about we do the study in the field? So what we did was we found the infested, we detected the infested branches, and we cased them, as you can see on the upper picture here. So we cased them and let the beetles emerge in those cages. You can see the results from semi-field and field study. Again, very similar result as in 2021. The adult emergence began in early to mid-May and continued through June. We got some in July and August. We get them, but most of them it occurs from mid-May, early to mid-May and through June. And around same times, their peak emergence is around mid-June. Can be a week plus minus, but it's around same time. So, which is very important finding, because we now know when they are active and when their peak emergence period is. And historically, it has been reported that the adults start laying eggs like after about 10 days after being active emerge. So we know like when they are going to be active and they are going to be laying the eggs in the ulcer. So that will help us plan our insecticide studies, when to spray the insecticide or when to use the control method. That I'll talk more about that in the coming slides. But we'll use this information for management decision. So again, we do not have any monitoring tools available for these insects. We have been working on to develop those tools. In 2019, Salendra and we started testing different type of traps. We used different green and purple color sticky traps, and we used multi-funnel traps with or without lure. And we got some insects. We got some flat-headed borer, mostly Pacific flat-headed borer, but we also got another species which we did not find in from the infested borer. So it's possible the borer, the traps that these lures are catching other insects. On the top of that, we also caught a lot of these traps, caught a lot of other bark beetles, which are like the kind of dying or disease branches. So those are not flat-headed borer, but those traps, to just give you an update, those traps also caught other insects. In 2021, we wanted to explore more on traps, and as a part of that multi-state project that we are working on funded by USDA, we tried different traps, purple traps with sticky liner. These kind of traps were reported to be kind of effective in eastern part of the country. So we tried, as you can see, three different with different lures, benzaldehyde on the first picture and some ethanol, and then control without any lure. However, these traps wasn't very successful. We didn't catch as many beetles as we wanted. And this was not just us, the people involved in this project didn't catch, like these traps were not very successful. So for this coming season, we have been thinking about, we have decided to use a couple of traps that we used in our earlier studies, probably the multi-funnel trap with different lures. And we're hoping to catch more insects on that trap. That's in the coming year study. So talking about what do this finding mean? So it seems like the beetles are active for quite a bit, about 2 months, and when we divide, or when we come up with the control measures, it seems like if we use the short insecticide with short residual effect, several applications may be required, and the monitoring tools, it's still a work in progress, and we will work on that. it's not, we haven't found any significant as of now, but we're on that way. So what about the management options? What management options do we have for this insect? So is mentioned a few times already, these insects they prefer the disease or stressed trees and weak trees, and for the in the younger trees, they like the sunburn part of the trees. So to protect the younger recently planted walnut trees, painting the trunk has been recommended. Yeah. And then, so what about the walnut trees? So for walnut trees, we have to have really good cultural practices in practice. Very good irrigation, good nutrition. We need to keep those trees healthy and vigorous so that they can defend or tolerate the damage. And if we have lower level of damage, we can prune out the damaged trees and reduce the spread of this pest in the orchard. And one more thing that I would like to highlight here is when we prune out those trees, we have to make sure that we remove those trees, we kill those larvae or those infested part immediately as soon as possible, because if we do not remove those infested part from the orchard, those larvae in these infested part, they will emerge. They can emerge as adult and reinfest the tree. So removing that is very important. Chipping can be done, and a lot of other different methods can be used, whatever fits on your practice, but they have to be removed from that area. So one study about cultural practice and how it reduces the flatheaded borer damage is winter cover crop that I wanted to highlight here. Winter cover crop has been found to reduce the flatheaded borer infestation. Of course, this study was done in completely different system in Tennessee. It's actually in using red maple trees in nursery production system. So a lot of this may not apply to us, but I just wanted to highlight cover crops have been found helpful. As you can see, they use 4 different treatments: cover crop, and insecticide, and no use is kind of control, bare, no cover crop and no insecticide, and no cover crop and insecticide. And cover crop, as you can see, the first bar has been found to reduce the flatheaded borer damage on the trunk significantly than control, and it was comparable to other treatments where insecticide was used. So that kind of which I found very promising even in our system. And if we talk about the insecticide they used, I think neonic. They were using neonic for their insecticide treatment, and you can see all the cover crop they used. I know these insects live inside or spend most of their time inside the trees, but they still have some natural enemies. As you can see, the first 2 are parasitic wasp. First one is calcid, and the second one is ichneumoniid. Those are 2 different families of wasps. But however, they have been found. For example, this first one, we have found them from the infested branches in our studies. And as parasitic, the lower one, like ichneumoniid wasp, they have found this one is from the infested branch in Oregon, where they work on flatheaded borer in hazelnut. And the big figure here is parasitic mites attacking the adults. They have mites that attack the adults. So I know, like when by the time we see this damage, the damage is these natural enemies. The damage is already done, but it emphasizes that we have the natural enemies there, and they may be doing their work in regulating their population there. What about the insecticides? I know if we have damage and we are struggling to save our trees, we need insecticide a lot of times. We need to know what insecticide works and that kind of information. However, as of now, I believe there is no label or registered insecticide for flat-headed borer management in walnuts in our area, in our system. However, I just wanted to give you an overview about what other people have been doing. And here I present the work from uh, Nick Women's lab in hazelnut in Oregon, where they work on hazelnut, where flat-headed borer has become a very serious problem. And they use several insecticides. This is still kind of preliminary data. I got this information from their project report. And however, I thought it's worth sharing here. So they use different insecticide, as you can see in the y-axis, and in the x-axis, they have the different number of galleries per trunk for different insecticide treatments. And they found that some of the insecticides such as warrior and a lot of imidacloprid and even clothianidin, they were found to reduce the number of damage in the trunk significantly. As you go down, it seems the insecticide was more effective, like numerically, but when we talk about statistically, a lot of these insecticides inside the box, they minimize the damage than untreated control. In the same report, they also reported a lot of more. I think they did more, expanded the insecticide in their study, and they even used diamide insecticide, as you can see here, chlorantraniliprole and others. And they tested, and here, instead of number of damage, they looked at the damage rating. So what that means is they looked at the overall health of the tree, and the healthy tree would get lower rating, and the more disease or showing more damage symptoms tree would get higher rating here. And even in this study, they found some of the reduced risk insecticides such as chlorantraniliprole and others. In addition to a lot of neonics, they found those to be very effective. They reduced the damage symptoms on them. So this is kind of update we have, and this information will help us design. We are planning, or we are going to conduct these studies in our system, and with this kind of gives us a starting point, what insecticide to use in our studies. So again, I'm coming back to the information survey responses that we got from last year. So we wanted to know what our growers have been using when it comes to managing or reducing the flat-headed borer population. So a lot of people are not doing anything. We do not know if that's because they don't have a problem, or if they do not have the option. But a lot of growers, they have been using cultural methods such as sanitation and using white pens, and very few growers are using insecticides too. I do not know what insecticide they're using, but mainly cultural control. They have been using cultural method to minimize the damage. So what do we have? So and what is the take-home message from my presentation? So as we all know, it's becoming a major issue now, expanding to more healthier areas. More orchards are being reported to have this pest, and probably the drought is playing the role, and also the acreage, increase in the acreage of walnut growing area is playing the role. And now, based on our couple of 3 or 4 years of study, we know when the beetles emerge and when their population emergence peaks takes place. So that is a very good information. We'll build upon that other research, building upon those information. It's still a long way to go. We have some information, but we do not have a lot of information. So our next target is to finding error tracking tools so that we know when they emerge. And also another target is exploring effective insecticides and their best application timing. And for now, what do we have is do scouting. Please check your orchard for flat-headed borer infestations and use uh, use this wind orchard sanitation methods. Remove those infested branches so that you reduce the chance of population building up in your orchard. Also, we have been, please contact us if you have any questions, and we have been looking for cooperators to conduct our insecticide study. And if you have younger orchards that have a lot of infestation, please contact us if you're interested in being part of our study. And with this, I thank you all for your presence here, and I would like to acknowledge all the helping hands, especially Chang Wu, who helped a lot with the studies, and I'll be glad to take any question if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sudan. So in the interest of staying on time, we'll launch into the poll. And if you can please answer the questions in the Q&A by typing in the answer. I don't think we'll have time for live question and answer in this case. So here comes the poll.
Yes, so my apologies. There was one more left from the last presentation as well. So we have quite a few to get through. So this one is about walnut husk fly. What is the lure and trap combination that work best for trapping walnut husk fly? Give you about 15 seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll in the interest of time. And Jalendra, what was, let me share results. There we go. What was the answer to that question?
There you go. Yeah, 85% got it right. It's whatever we're using, it's still the best so far. So we're still work in progress. I think finding another best one, but so far yellow sticky card with ammonium carbonate, it still attracts more flies compared to others.
Okay, thank you. And the next one up is launching now. The specific species causing damage in walnuts is give them a few minutes. All righty, excellent job. I'll go ahead and switch it over. What's the answer there, Sudan?
Yeah, the answer is option B. 95% of the people responded got it right. Yeah, it's Pacific flat-headed borer.
Great job, everybody. Just a couple more questions. A few more questions. Flat-headed borer has a 1-year life cycle. Is that true or false? I also still see some hands raised out there. If you do have a question, place it in the Q&A box. We will we'll either address it live or just via typing. Okay, we'll end the poll there. And what's the answer? Oh, let me share the results. There we go.
The answer is true, and yeah, people did pretty good. Yeah, they have 1-year life cycle or annual life cycle.
Good job, everybody. And based on recent studies, when do flat-headed adults emerge from infested walnuts? Flat-headed borer adults emerge from infested walnuts. Great presentation, Sudan. Very informative. Hot new topic. Old past new topic. Okay, I'll go ahead and share the results. And what's the verdict, Sudan?
Yes, the answer is May to July. Yeah, they emerge in summer. Yeah, 89% people got it. Good.
Excellent job. And Pruning and removal of flat-headed borer infested branches help to reduce flat-headed borer damage. Yes or no? Okay. End the poll. Got a lot of responses. Share the results.
Yeah,
What's
the answer is yes.
Great
People
job.
did heads
Everyone.
up. Yeah.
Great job, everyone. All right, that is it for flat-headed borer questions for today.
Thank you very much, Carrie, for conducting that so efficiently. Thanks again, Sudan. And again, if you can, Sudan, answer the questions in the Q&A through the typing feature there. We'll move right ahead. Next we have, and Sudan, can you please stop sharing? That would be great.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So next up, we have an industry update from the California Walnut Commission. And so I welcome Jennifer Olmsted, Claire Lee, and Josh Ram. As soon as we can.
Oh, sorry, hold on.